It is going to be a long one. And hello, everybody. Welcome to the Den of Thieves. Today, we're going to review the Odyssey. Christopher Nolan, the old Nolo.
The Nolo. Yes, indeed.
Man, the cast in this film was insane. We've got Elliot Page, Zendaya, Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Travis Scott. I knew there was a rapper in there. I'm like, oh, that guy sounds like a rapper. You know, the guy with the cane hitting the floor. Like, he's got to be.
Yeah.
Anne Hathaway, Robert Pattinson, Charlize Theron. How do you say her name?
Charlize Theron.
You haven't seen her in a while. John Berthenol, Mia Goth. I mean, just Lupita Nyong. I don't like her, but it is what it is. Man, racist. What a film. I am racist. And that was insane. Well, what an incredible film. I really liked it. And that's what I'll say right now is I really liked it. I'll take it over to you, Mitch. What did you think overall?
I liked it. Overall, I enjoyed it. It's got its problems in terms of, like, you know, following the actual Homer Odyssey and authenticity and whatnot, but when you're dealing with fiction, fantasy fiction especially, like, is it really authenticity to go by? But yeah, narratively and trying to stay as close to the original material as possible, I think it did a good enough job to merit a little clap. That's to say, it's difficult to describe. It's not to say that I think it's the greatest thing ever, you know, especially in terms of Christopher Nolan's films. But I think if people can just go into the film without having that biased presumption of what to expect of it, I think they will enjoy it more. As we're in the film going into it, you know, because there was so much advertisement over it. Charlize Theron being one, and Mia Goth as well. That was a weird cameo, and
I thought she was Sydney Sweeney.
Oh, right, everyone kept talking about Sweeney being in this, that she should have been.
I'm surprised she wasn't.
Or Helena Troy.
You just get the IMDb top 50 lists and just chuck them all in the movie, and that's what I thought. That's what they did.
She didn't make the cut.
She didn't make the cut somehow.
Looking back at it, there's so many small roles as well as big roles in this. I'm trying to think of who I found the most enjoyable. And if I had to trim it down to my two favorite performances in this, it would have to be probably John Leguizamo. I apologize if I butchered his last name.
Yeah,
the actress that played Cersei, I believe it was Samantha Mortensen? I can't remember. But yeah, she's been around the bush for a while, and yeah, they were definitely my two favorites, and luckily we had a good, especially Samantha. She was in a real important scene, most of which know from not just, you know, Homer's works, but the many interpretations that I've had of that. Good. Unfortunately, I feel like his villainy was probably a little bit lackluster at the end of it. But nonetheless, every time he's on the screen, man, he always kills it. I'm really grown. A lot of respect for him as an actor.
That character, I just want to stab him 10 times. Yeah.
He's but one a stupid little petty coward, man, and it's just like, we'll explain more in the spoiler area, just like the final scene with him. I found it was quite funny. But yeah, man, look, I mean, I'm not say I'm biblically a fan of Homer's work. I pretty much know the Cliff Note version of it. But it is one of those historic mythological epics. It's pretty much the very first one ever written, ever conceived by Homer.
2,800 years ago.
Yes. You know, Homer's segment of the Iliad and the Odyssey have gone down in Western culture. It's pretty much influenced all of Western culture, even inspiring later great novelizations such as Tolkien's work with Lord of the Rings and whatnot. So this is pretty much the OG when it comes to that stuff. And so you've got the two fan bases that either love it and want it respected 100%, and then you got the other side of it that just, I don't know, I guess they just find it cool and edgy. I'm probably somewhere in between both of those.
Cool and edgy. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, you know, I love Nolan, but this is a very grounded version of the Odyssey in terms of, like, its fantasy aspects. And I was already aware of that going into this, that it would be somewhat grounded. But saying that, we still get some very mythological scenarios that occur, but the backbone of it is not orchestratedly explained like you would in like the predecessor films. It's not very theatrical, to say the least. So I know a lot of people will probably find that either very bland and mediocre, and of course you're going to have the Nolan fans that will like see no error in what he does. There is errors in this, a lot, but all in all, I feel like, for me personally, if you're going to balance it on a tether of if it's going to lean on, you know, lacking or enjoyable, I'd say it's more on the enjoyable side.
Yeah, okay.
Matt Damon.
Yeah, I really overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought most of the actors did a good job. A few actors I weren't a massive fan of. I would say, I wouldn't say they're bad, like they're bad, like miscast or whatever. I just say they didn't pull to their strengths. Like I wasn't a fan of Tom Holland's. I thought he was a bit boring or a bit I don't know. I just didn't like his Americanized. Yeah. Who else didn't I like? John Bernthal. He played himself.
AKA the Punisher.
Yeah, he played the Punisher. He played Snatch or whatever. He played every movie he's been in. He didn't really have. No, he wasn't in Snatch. That was The Rock, right?
That wasn't The Rock either.
Oh, whatever.
Where you got Snatch from, bro? That was Brad Pitt and Jason Statham.
Okay, anyway. Yeah, he was just a bit whatever in the film again. So some of the characters, I thought they could have brought a bit more to it. Also, even the old Matt Damon, reserved in a lot of the acting. He did pick it up towards the second half of the film. He picked up his acting a bit, but I thought he was kind of he was supposed to play a stoic character, but he was a bit too stoic and he didn't really show much emotion. And he could have. I don't know. He could have written his character to show a bit more emotion. So the actor side of it, I think they mostly did a good job. Anne Hathaway was insanely good. God damn, I'm looking at all the list of actors. It's really tough here. Robin Pattinson was
it's hard to remember all of them.
Was amazing. Actually, back to the whole Matt Damon thing. I liked his crew more than I liked him. You kind of saw a bigger side of his crew than him. So
you're talking about he's like second in command.
Yeah, he's second in command. Himesh Patel.
He's Indian.
Yeah.
Himesh Patel. Yeah, I've seen his face, but I couldn't tell you what I've seen him from. I know he's been in things, but he's probably always like a small sidekick character, and he's, unfortunately for me, I just can't place him in something.
Yeah. Well, I'll say the movie did have a few they're more like little nitpicks, but overall, I think, was this movie like on the level of the massive epics you would get, like Lord of the Rings, bloody Harry Potter. What else massive epics came out? Troy, would Troy be considered? Yeah. I would say it is on. Yeah, it hits there for me. It hits that epicness for me. So in terms of movie scale, this movie hit the highest scale it could possibly hit. And I didn't really know much about the whole Homer work. So I felt kind of lucky that I didn't really know much about it. So you couldn't really disappoint me. When the whole Cyclops came out, spoiler, never mind. Some of the things, well, it's not really a spoiler. He's in the trailer. He's in the trailer, and if you know Homer's work, you know he's in it. I was surprised when there was really anything mythical that came into it. I didn't really know. I thought it'd be very more grounded. As soon as I saw like the Cyclops, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then everything else that happened, I was like, what the heck is this? There's gods and all that. So I came into it knowing almost nothing. So for me, there was like a chef's kiss. I really enjoyed the whole epicness of it. And yes, we'll talk about the nitpicks, but I'll move it back to you.
It's done from his point of view, narrating this to the character of Charlize Theron. And so there's no other survivors to either disprove or to like correct him on his taking on things. And I feel Nolan did that in a ways where like it could be an exaggeration of the truth, and that the whole concept of gods and everything in this is still something that's never seen. Because they talk about gods, they talk about Zeus, they talk about Poseidon and all that stuff, but we never actually see them. We see environmental things that happen, and yes, we see things that are like large men and cyclopses and all that stuff. But it's from the point of view of the storyteller, right? So it could be an exaggeration on the truth, if that makes sense. I've already said that 3 times. But we'll talk more about that in the spoiler area, so we can go into more details. But in terms of like it being this grand epicness, I'm leaning more towards it feeling a bit ironically smaller. If say you're going to compare it to Lord of the Rings, or if you're going to compare it even to Troy back in 2004. It's difficult. It's. I'm not saying it as a negative, but like in terms of the scale of everything we see in frame, I can't help but measure it. The closest one would be to Troy because it's the same work of Homer. Even though Troy's a romanticized version of his story, there's a lot of changes and whatnot. I still can't help but compare it because it's arguably somewhat of a non-connected sequel to this because it's from the same narrations and all that. Troy for me felt even more epic than this on the scheme of things.
I see what you mean, yeah.
And it's not so much a discredit to Nolan because Nolan wanted everything in frame. Nolan wanted to make sure everything that we've seen was minimum CG as possible.
Hell yeah.
And that's the Nolan way. And from what we got, it was freaking epic. And because I think most people who follow Nolan know he takes a lot of his inspiration from films from the 60s and 70s, from like the golden era of cinema, to which it's all practical effects with like limited use of stop motion and all that stuff, large matte painted scenes and all that stuff. So he wanted to do it that way, and I give him all the respect for it. What we get in frame looks awesome. I just, for what is the Odysseus' story, the Odyssey, I don't know, could have used just a bit more embellishment for such a story, especially when we talk about themes of like, going to hell and all this stuff. Sometimes I can't help but wonder if maybe even Robert Eggers could have been a better choice to direct this. I'm going from how he does The Northman from back in 2022. Very similar palette, very similar kind of, not themes, but just like approachable look. And
I gotcha.
Yeah, I can't help but wonder if such Odysseus' narrative could have been just a little bit better in the hands of another director. But I always come across with saying too many damn negatives. I'm still happy overall with this film. I'm just me being nitpicky for some silly reason, and I can't help it because this is a real big controversial film for reasons unknown, for the wrong reasons, and also for the right reasons. There's like so many different avenues of arguments heading to towards this film, and I can't help but wonder if it was directed by anybody else, someone whose name is not Christopher Nolan on that pillar, if people were actually giving a shit about the outcome of this film.
Huh. Honestly, I don't know if whoever directed this film, if people watch the film, they'll be like, what the hell? Did you see the Odyssey? Honestly, I think it would go better. if it was some rando director no one knows and they watch the Odyssey, like, this is a crazy ass film. Look at this. Who the hell made this? But because we know it's made by Christopher Nolan, we have certain expectations, and then we kind of get then we have, we get it's easy to get disappointed. Or not,
or it's just easier to like ridicule them to begin with. You know what I mean? You get one news report that says this happens. Oh, we need to chastise this guy as much as we can. I don't know. Hey, man, can you imagine if the same film was directed by Michael Bay? Everybody be like, "This is Michael Bay's greatest work." Wow, it's incredible compared to what he's done before.
Yeah, I mean, if you're kind of critiquing Nolan for this film, then Nolan's a badass, because like. That just means that you think you look at Nolan at such a high light that you look at this film and you're like, oh, it's not his best work. Oh, okay, but holy crap.
And like one of the biggest topic points of this is going to be the multicultural cast. Look, I'm on both sides of the fence. I agree there could have been some choices in this that should have been a different actor, especially given some of these key cast members. They're in the film, I swear to God, for like not even more than 5 minutes. Some of them barely get any screen time, which is kind of known in Nolan films. And I can't help but wonder if that's the case, then arguably anyone else could have played that role and had the exact same impact left on the film. So I don't know the full story behind it. Yes, that's Ellen Page, for example. We'll talk about Ellen Page's character, Sinan, quote-unquote, arguably Achilles, later on. But yeah, like, it's a good example. They're in the film barely.
Yeah.
So why would you want to... Why place a big A-list actor in such a role, if not for anything than to stir controversy with your own film? Unless Nolan had absolutely no control over some of these casting choices. I don't know the backstory. I don't know if Nolan had full control of his crew and cast. Given it's Nolan, you would assume so. But I can't help but wonder if some of these choices were like, a middle ground for the sake of getting this film done. I'm just trying to like...
Well, it gets asses to seats. If you show a trailer with heavy hitters that are in the film a very short time, it gets asses in the seats. So even if it's like one or two scenes, that's a really good thing, because your movie's going to make millions and more dollars just because it's got Zendaya instead of Bendaya or something.
But the thing is, I feel like a lot of people are bored, or not bored, but are sick of Zendaya. Like, we went to the cinema and the 3 movie trailers that premiered before the film, I think they all had Zendaya in it.
Yeah.
Or at least 2 of these cast members in one of each of the films, like especially Spider-Man. Half the cast in this is in Spider-Man, for Christ's sake.
And then Dune. And then
Dune?
Yeah. And then this one, it's like, geez, man, the Zendaya fatigue is really real.
Yeah. But like, I fear for maybe even Pattinson becoming that, because Pattinson is also going to be in Dune. Like, yeah, like there's more actors out there than this whole crew. Surely.
Yeah. When did they start making this film? What, 6 years ago?
Good question.
So maybe Zendaya wasn't that huge back then, or like not same as Pattinson. He probably wasn't Batman when they planned to make this film.
Well, officially, they only started shooting it in February 2025.
Oh, fair enough then. Wow, that's really...
They were already big names back then. Like, I don't know how much pre-production there was, but...
Tom Holland? Tom Holland, he's just... Okay, he was in the film a lot, but I don't know. I just didn't like Tom Holland. Especially Tom Holland and Zendaya. It's like Tom Holland and Zendaya. They've been in like so many movies together, I swear. And they're also in a relationship.
Spider-Man.
Just Spider-Man? And they're also in a relationship by IRL. So it's like, it's taking the outside world inside, and it's kind of, it ruins a little bit the immersion. Having Zendaya and Tom Holland. It's like, dude, go back to Spider-Man. You're not supposed to play Odysseus' son, mofo.
I agree with him not having much emotion, especially in the second half of the film. overall, I didn't mind his performance. It's just the freaking American accents, man. Like everyone in this has an American accent, even the British actors like Tom Holland. Like,
hey, I'm Peter Parker. Hey, I'm Telemachus. You play the same character, man. No?
Yeah. No, it's the exact same accent for sure. Yeah. I mean, when you're going back to the immersion experience for Zendaya, I mean, I'll say the exact same for Lupita Nyong'o. I'll say the same for Ellen Page. Like, they do take you out of it. Because the second they're on screen, everyone's like smoking, like, this is what everyone's talking about on the internet, instead of just being immersed in the film. Saying all that,
yeah,
I didn't mind Ellen Page's performance in this. Like, what they had for her to do, I was fine with. I was sincerely waiting for a sequence where she takes on like 20 soldiers before dying or something. And what we get to see is this hilarious sight of like a 5'3" boy man, taking on Trojan soldiers. I'm so fucking glad that didn't happen, because that would have just like taken me right out of everything. But
and Lupita Nyong'o as her sidekick, as his
Again, I like Lupita Nyong'o. I think she's an awesome actress. Obviously, the wrong choice to play Helen of Troy and Helen's twin sister. If there's a spoiler, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure everyone already knew that she was playing two roles in this. And both of which she's barely in the film, like maximum 5 to 6 minutes for both characters. It's like, okay, cool, so we don't have to think about that too much. But I go back to the fact, if that's such a small, brief role, a key role, but such a small role, why did you have to get a big A-list actor that was going to stir controversy for your film?
Yeah, true.
Makes no sense to me.
Let's say we have the giants, the Cyclops. If the Cyclops was played by a 2-year-old dwarf, and it's like, oh, but the Cyclops
is English.
He's only there for 3 minutes. Yeah, but that's not a good example actually, because they could just make Peter Dinklage massive, and that'll be really cool.
Well, they have done that.
Yeah.
They have done that. They did it in Avengers as a joke. Well, let's try and move on, because it's going to be a big one.
So you want to kind of... Oh, well, that's spoilery. I think we should end the non-spoiler section soon.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because we don't want to talk about
rating, then. Yeah, we really do.
Rating? Okay, yes, I'll go with the rating. I'll go first. My rating for this film will be a 8.5 out of 10. Really good. I'll take the half point because of the small little some of the acting I wasn't a fan of.
So if it wasn't for that, it would have been a 9 for you.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay, you really liked it.
Yeah, nice. Really. And I took 1 point off. Where did I take 1 point off? I forgot what it was. But also, one more thing I didn't really like was the sound. Some of the sounds seemed very loud or not well, not well mixed.
Balanced.
Especially in the beginning, there were certain things that Odysseus was saying and I couldn't understand. Yeah, it wasn't well balanced and it was just so loud and just not well balanced at all. I don't know if it was the theater that we were in or something, but there was something off with the sound and also a little bit of the picture quality. Sometimes when the camera's moving, it's like stuttering along, and it kind of hurt my eyes a little bit.
I don't think that's the cinema. I think that's just how it's filmed, to be honest. I do agree with the video thing. Like, there's a lot of motion blur sometimes when it's like hand cam, and there's a lot of hand cam in this. Especially there's like both sequences. I do agree. I feel like they had to like have a different type of camera for the sake of like water splash and all that stuff, and it's kind of noticeable. I agree.
Yes, and the last thing, the main thing would be, kind of how it's. Yeah, no, never mind. I don't know. I feel like this movie is such a technical movie, that I don't have the experience to be like, I didn't like this or I didn't like that, because it was so good. Yeah. I don't know. It's very good for me. So I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Cool. I will give it a 7.5 out of 10. My deductions from it being an 8 is The American stuff I tolerated. Yeah, eventually you just get used to it. I would have loved to have seen them at least try to be more theatrical, a bit more ye old. Um, but they didn't, and I guess the reasons why they did that is because of how many people would have to do it, and you can't help but compare it to, say, Brad Pitt's accent in Troy. Like, for a couple sequences, he tries to sound a bit more theatrical, but then he obviously just gave up on it and just did his own American accent. So, fair enough. I'm gonna give it discredit, half a point off, mainly because of its pacing. I should have mentioned that earlier. The first half of the film felt good time wise. It felt like the moments we did have in certain scenes felt flowing. By the second half, a lot of the pacing felt very jarring and rushed. Like they were really trying to get this film under 3 hours. Because I wouldn't be surprised if in a year's time we get like a definitive edition of like extended hour footage or something. Will not be surprised.
2 hours.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that and just little nitpicks, which I will go into in the spoiler section. So yeah, final nail is 7.5 for me.
Yes. So go watch this movie. Take your family to watch the movie. I think if they're not massive movie heads and they're not like super anal, they'll love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. Totally agree.
If you're an anal, bloody, what do you call it, internet lover, you might not like the film and just talk shit about it. But
well, all I'll add to your thing is just save your judgment until you've seen it. That's all I'll say. Okay. Save your judgment. Just go into it knowing it's going to be multicultural. Do I agree with it? No. Has it happened? Yes. So just go see it, and then afterwards see if it actually really offended you. All right? Simple as that.
Hell yeah. And we'll see you on the spoiler section, everybody, in the next video. All right, and here we are at the spoiler section of the Odysseus review. Hello. Where do we start? Now, this review is it's a tough one. My mind's going all over the place, and I'm trying to keep it as structured as I can.
I'd say we just go from the beginning then, I guess.
From the very beginning. I will say, yes, you can start off.
Oh, okay, where to begin? Trying to start on the positive because I have to.
I'll just start real quick and say, like,
you go.
I like how the overall. I wasn't thinking of the overall story that Odysseus was coming home, and that's all cool. I feel like that was an overarching story, but I really liked the film that it was like moments and moments and moments. You have the Cyclops moment, and then you have the Land
of Giants.
The Land of Giants, and then you have the what's her name? The Samantha Morton Cersei turning into pigs. I love that part of it. Then I love the
that was terrifying.
Yeah, then you had the whole choose the whirlpool or choose the tentacle thing, and they chose the tentacle thing. And then I love the spirit song part of it too. That was probably my favorite bit, honestly, personally. I love that spirit part, even though it was very short. I loved how it was like segmented like that. And it was like this quest and then this quest and then this quest. Yeah, it was just such a good journey. It was such a I loved it. It was just a great journey, and all my emotions were going everywhere. The whole story in general of Odysseus having to come back home. That's just a story, right? You can't. That's fine. But I loved every part of the film, from start to finish. It was great.
Well, my interpretation of basically them going from one island to the next, it's basically the philosophical challenge of Odysseus, and like, I mean, it wasn't even really established like sins. You know, you go to the first, like, one of them is like gluttony. You know, when the witch basically serves all his soldiers the food and they turn into pigs. It's just like showing you the war effect of like a soldier's greed. and sprinkled in between, we see segments of Odysseus' men raiding villages to get supplies and all this stuff. So it definitely tries to wink at them not ever always being these noble, honorable men that is Odysseus trying to get home to this romanticized version of his story. Like, he's a man in this whole epic that is living with regret and grief, and they kind of, I guess, suggest trauma as well, which comes in the form of Athena, which we'll talk real soon, which plays as Zendaya. The whole traumatic thing, I think, for me is more modern. I don't think trauma would have been a big thing in Homer's Odyssey, only because of the time frame and the stoic nature that is the Odyssey. So there's definitely, obviously, like, modern twists for a modern audience in this. Stuff that we can more so relate to.
I regret pillaging and all the people dying around me. I feel horrible for that. Because that's what it was about, right? He got traumatized because of all the women and children being killed in the Battle of Troy, and is that like what the main trauma?
The stacking of Troy in general.
Yeah,
for sure. Because he explains it in a monologue fairly at the end of the film. Because one of the reoccurring things that they mention in this is like the law of Zeus, which is treat a stranger as you would yourself, which is a kind of play on of the religion thing. Do unto others as you would do unto you, right? So this hypocrisy ideology for Odysseus begins when he sacked Troy. It was his plan and his scheme to build a Trojan horse to get it infiltrated into a house. So that kind of plays on his mind, and he feels like he needs
God's will, right? It wasn't God's will.
Against not just God's will, but against his own principles.
Gotcha, yeah.
Stuff that he's brought up with.
Especially where him shooting a bow before he kills an animal, he'll let his he'll like kind of shoot an empty arrow to let him know. Like, that kind of shows.
You reminded me of that. I love that foreshadowing too, because we see him honor the animal, give them a chance, respect them. He plucks the spring, allows the animal a chance to escape. He does the exact same thing when he gets his vengeance on all the suitors at the very end.
I love that part, though.
It's a delicious little mirror.
Such a cool sound, that fling. Oh, dude, it's so epic.
To which I was surprised the composer for this was not Hans Zimmer. I could have sworn it would have been, because Hans has basically done every single one of Christopher Nolan's other films. But no, it was Ludwig, whose last name I refuse to butcher, so I will look it up.
Yeah, I love the soundtrack. It was freaking... It played throughout the whole film, right? There's always a soundtrack going on.
Yeah, it's either like just a simple tempo beat or something that like just, sneaks into the background so you don't really hear it until you're really focused on it. Ludwig Göransson, who's a Swedish composer, he's done a lot in the last few years. I'm surprised to see he did Oppenheimer and Tenet, 2 other Nolan films. Sinners and Black Panther, and prior to that, he did a few more.
Yeah, he might be the next Hans Zimmer.
He's definitely been very busy the last couple of years, going all the way back to Creed. He's definitely up there in terms of composition. So, yeah, I enjoyed the score. It's definitely doesn't have a Hans Zimmer feel to it. I recognize that. But for what it was, I enjoyed it. It was much more pulled back and more raw compared to something that Hans Zimmer would do. Hans Zimmer would be more like in honor of the gods, kind of epic brass French horns and all that stuff. So
like, as much as I love that, the soundtrack version.
Oh, absolutely! Yeah. I would be playing it right now if it was definitely Hans. To which I'm going to see in October. He's coming to Sydney finally. No, I enjoyed it. It felt more like an ambience than an actual musical score. So it's hard to go from beat by beat. So like the general premise, if anyone else has been high on the rock, is Odysseus is finally returning from the sacking of Troy. Only instead of turning right, he turns left basically, and him and his closest loyal men go on quite an adventure from island to island. Generally, in the sense of consensus, going more closer and deeper and closer to hell, They're challenged every day from either this sailing winds to island. They're challenged with mythological creatures that pretty much shake the very foundations of how they see the world, especially Odysseus, because he's just hell-bent on this 10-year campaign to get back home to his wife, Penelope, who's been keeping suitors at bay for as long as she can. I do agree Anne Hathaway did a great performance. She definitely was like a cornerstone strength in the entire film.
It was a technical role too. It was almost like she had to play confused between does she should she continue how things are, wait for her husband to come back,
the right course of action.
Yeah, the right course of action, and you could see she was very twisted, like she doesn't know what to do, and she's really emotional about it.
Because it was a promise too, remember? Before Matt Damon's Odysseus leaves, he says, promise me if such and such happens, you will, remarry and find another suitor. So like she's conflicted between waiting for her husband to return or, fulfilling his promise that she made to him. So it's like, yeah, I think the problem is in the original Homer's thing, it's like a test. It's like, let's see how loyal she is to me. It's like, dude, she's been waiting a decade. I think she's already proven her loyalty. Fucking get home and reveal yourself. Don't have to throw her under another test, man. That was, again, from the Homer Odyssey. Like, in any sense, that kind of makes Odysseus a bit of a dick to do that. But, it works out well for him in the end, doesn't it?
Yeah. So we have the first segment is the Cyclops.
Yeah, sorry, I'm jumping over again. Cyclops.
That was really cool. When I saw the Cyclops for the first time, I was like, whoa, like the scale of it is insane. And I believe they used an actual what did they do? They used an actual person?
Yeah.
Yeah, they used an actual person for the whole thing.
Trick photography?
Yeah.
I imagine so, because it looked pretty believable. It looked like it was there on frame with them. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a giant suit, to be honest. It was intimidating. I think what was intimidating about the Cyclops was that it wasn't intimidating. It looked like an oversized baby just going by its day, and that, like, let me drop my guard a bit to it. Like, I kind of feel sorry for this creature, because it looked like it's just going by its day. It sees the soldiers as just more sheep, just trying to survive itself, which pretty cool. It's a little different to the Homer. What we do see happens, it pretty much blinds it with a spear in the eye, and they manage to make their escape with a few losses and all that stuff. But I kind of like the idea of
Cyclopses too, I heard. I watched a YouTube video on the Homer, the whole Homer thing, the whole Homer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, apparently, like, the Cyclops got stabbed in the eye, and then it was actually a really cool little thing. So Odysseus was talking to the Cyclops, and the Cyclops asked for his name, and he's like, my name is Nobody. He didn't want to give his actual name. So anyway, when Odysseus or whoever stabs him in the eye and they run, the Cyclops yells saying, "Nobody attacked me." So then none of the other Cyclopses came to help because he said, "Nobody attacked me." So it's kind of a genius play for Odysseus, because if he said, "Odysseus attacked me," then all the other Cyclopses would have come. Because he said nobody, he's like, "Oh, nobody attacked me." That was pretty funny.
So they're being tricked to back in the day when you could actually speak to your Xbox and everyone said Xbox off. Whoops.
Yeah. Yeah, so he was Odysseus. Not Odysseus. He was the which god's son was he? He was not Zeus's son.
In the original lore, it's Poseidon's son.
Poseidon's son.
So no, yeah,
was,
Poseidon's
in this film.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like, is it true, or is it just like
hearsay
from the perception of a soldier? Yeah. You know what I mean? Hearsay, right? That's what I was trying to get at before, like the over embellishment of gods really existing and all that stuff in this. Because, like, in the original stuff, we actually see the gods. We see Zeus, we see Poseidon, and all that stuff. But we never see the gods actually in physical form. No, they're always spoken about.
Perception of Odysseus. Yeah. It's what he saw We're not too sure if
or his soldiers. Yeah. Exactly. So
seeing the lightning,
it's like
it was too perfect though. The lightning hitting the boat and it separated him and his men. It's like, come on, son.
I know. But that's how like urban legends are created, right? I step outside and there's a strong wind. It's like, oh, Zeus must be angry at me. It's like, oh, it could just be an angry wind.
Yeah. But I love this about this movie that you weren't sure if the gods did exist or not, but there was just enough science to know that likely there was. Like when one of the soldiers is like, oh, the Cyclops yelled his father's name, and it's called more mystery. There's like a mystery to it. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. Is it true? Is it not? Is it just assumption? I like that. That just leaves us to interpretation, because there is eventually a lot more fantasy suggestive stuff. Pretty much where they travel to next. Actually, I'm having a brain fart. Did they travel to the land of giants next, or was it to Hades' hell?
I'm pretty sure it was the land of giants.
Correct. Yeah, narratively, beat for beat, we're going to probably forget a few things just because how fucking long the bloody story was. But yeah. No, overall, I enjoyed the Cyclops sequence, and going to the sound department, it was very jarring, but I think it was jarring in that sequence intentionally to hear this Cyclops screaming and crying from being jabbed. It was very haunting.
Very haunting. He's and in something that big, you'd see their voice, especially in the cave, their voice would freaking fill the whole room, and it did.
That's why I think he did it, because we're in a closed environment, right? We're in a cave where sound and reverb is just going to bounce off rock wall to wall. So it was definitely intentional to have the volume mix in that scene to the maximum, to the point where it even felt like the audio was kind of peaking, scratchy at some points. Yeah, peaking for sure. Because it made you feel like you were right there amongst these soldiers just trying to escape this thing. Their eyes
are peaking. Oh, sorry, their ears are peaking at that point. So
yeah,
it's like we're right there.
Look, you see that as a technical issue. I thought it was a personal choice, and I liked it. Yeah. Because it just made me feel on edge. It just made me want to get the hell out of that cave all the more quicker. And then while it's partially blind, it's searching for them.
I love that part. And then that was like a bit of a horror.
It was definitely horrific.
Where they're all they got the sandbags. I think in the original, they hid under sheep. And then they went exited. But this one, they had the haystacks in their back to make them kind of seem, like they're sheep. So if the Cyclops touched them, it'll seem like they're sheep. So that was cool, and they're all trying to escape. I don't know why Odysseus shot him in the face. That one last time when they left the cave. That was a bit egotistical or something.
Personal pride, because it killed a few of his men. So it's I'll try and get even with it or something. Yeah. Yeah, pride, and stoic ego, I guess. That's probably one of the things Odysseus hadn't learnt yet at that point, because he hadn't been challenged enough yet, so to speak. And of course his second in command challenges him on it, whose performance I enjoyed. I liked that he was somewhat the voice of reason for a lot of this and rationaling, but at the same time, Odysseus eventually understands the fate of his consequences and his men's consequences. So he's put them on the path. His soldiers don't know this, so that he's making decisions for them. And he's like, "Really, Odysseus? This is what you've chosen for us? You've pretty much." And so he's going to take it regardless.
Gotcha. You know what I mean? You take this path, 6 men die. You take this path, everyone dies. So he's really making a choice of, or he could take a third path and nobody dies, but he listens anyway.
Because for a while there, he does defy what he says defies the gods. He says alternately they're going to go this way. So I'm gonna prove these gods wrong. Yeah. And there's consequences at every turn. He loses more and more men, and it gets to a breaking point for him. And I do believe it. He does start to learn humility. I think the character has to at that point.
Anyway,
after the do have to try and hurry this up.
After the Cyclops, we got the Land of the Giants. Was it called? That was kind of.
I can't remember the name of it, but it was very briefly.
It was brief. It was kind of cool seeing the giants tearing down one of the boats, and only Odysseus's boat left. That was cool. And then after that, we had the Hell. Yeah, they went straight to Hell, and this is where we meet Sinan and some other fellas.
Agamemnon.
Agamemnon.
Yes. This is probably where the film started to lose its traction for me a little bit. Is of course, he's actually meant to see the ghost of Achilles in hell. If anyone is actually looking to see Achilles at some point in this film, or if they were still under the presumption that Ellen Page was playing Achilles, you're right and you're wrong. Because Ellen Page's role, Sinan, was created for this Nolan story. Sinan does not actually exist in the Homer Odyssey. So I have a strange suspicion that originally Sinan was Achilles, but then when the world heard wing of this and they backlashed, I feel like there was probably a character name change. I don't know, just to avoid that whole crud, because again, here's Sinan doing exactly what Achilles does in the Odyssey, so take with that as you will. Nonetheless, it's very brief and to the point. Pretty much Sinan points the way home for Odysseus and the rest of the crew. Promise telling them about fate and all this stuff. And it's pretty much the breaking point for Odysseus realizing the amount of death that has occurred in his wake, leading up from that point all the way back to the Trojan War. So yeah, regret and guilt and trauma. So again, it all plays into the hands of perhaps he really did not want to go home because of these reasons, and he does admit that at some point in the film. He questions himself, like, why am I so eager not to go home? Pretty much. All good stuff.
Yeah, that was badass. I like the hell part. I mean, the Agamemnon, he looked badass with his freaking helmet and all that. From the dead. Actually, we missed a part before. It was the island of Circe. That was a really cool part.
Circe was before. Wow. Okay, I thought Circe was after.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, it was there, one or the other. Like the way it was so cool when they were eating the stew and then Circe was like mangling their face. That was like a horror film, dude. That was like
older than like clay.
Yeah. And you could just see it out of camera, but it was kind of in camera, so you saw the formations happen, almost like American Werewolf in London. The way he transformed into werewolf, you kind of saw it, but you didn't.
Yeah, I enjoyed that part really well, man.
It was scary, really scary, and it was just funny. Freaking Matt Damon shoots an arrow, kills a deer, and you see a guy's ass sticking out.
We kind of saw it coming too. I thought we were going to see this kind of like, reverse transition and all this stuff. Yeah. You know, I was expecting that, but it was already dead. Because again, practical effects. Like Nolan is trying his best to keep it practical as best he could, and what he did with that sequence, with the transformation, was pretty unmatched. Everything's in close up, so you see someone's jaw get unaligned, someone's nose turn into a snout. An ear form and all that. It's all from Circe's, witchery and all that stuff. It was done really well. I was kind of hoping she would be a bit more twisted. But, when Odysseus comes, they have a middle ground, have a negotiation and all that, because, he has threatened Circe's sister in a raven crow form and all that stuff. And, yeah, they all get transformed back to normal. I don't know.
A bit too easily.
I was kind of hoping to be a bit more darker. But in case you haven't noticed, the violence in this film, for the most part, is kept very PG. Like, even like in the sequence of like the siege of Troy and those battle elements, Nolan always does cut away from the violence. Like, we see the strike.
Keeps in the background, where it's not in the forefront.
Exactly. And that's always been his thing in all his films. I don't recall him ever having a movie that was like, MA or R. Even his wartime epic Dunkirk was kept very subtle with the violence. And
I respect that.
You could say it's testament. Yeah, you could say it's testament to Christopher Nolan. He doesn't rely on the shock gore,
the shock
of
value,
a thing to get
edgy, crazy gore stuff. Yeah, he doesn't.
Which
Really
kind
want
of takes me back to Steven Spielberg stuff. Like, he's done a few R-rated films, like Schindler's List, but that was a wartime biopic. But for the most part, Spielberg always kept it rather children-friendly. And despite that, audiences worldwide loved it, regardless. So you could probably say Nolan took a little bit of aspect from that. Yeah, so that was definitely probably my favorite sequence in the whole film was Cersei and her invitation for stew.
Yeah, that was cool. And then from there, I'm pretty sure from there it was hell, and from hell it was the cow farm.
Yes, the land with Zeus's cattle, I believe.
So I think Zeus, I saw that Zeus was pissed off at him, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna piss you off even more. I'm gonna put you in an island with cows, and you can't eat it.
Temptation.
I'm gonna tempt you, and you can't freaking eat it. And that was a really cool scene part.
Yeah, it's one of the cornerstones of this tower is like, you know, the allure of temptation of, you know, falling into your own personal urges, especially from the point of view of a man. Like the urge to like be a glutton, the urge towards the sirens, the urge to, you know, betray trust, betray oath. Even Odysseus himself is a byproduct of that and all that stuff. So it's always a recurring theme with all these tests along the way and all that. Yeah, so that was the final last straw, wasn't it? And then zap, Zeus was angry.
Yeah,
and,
I'm surprised his crew didn't respect him enough to really take their word on their word, because they said they're not going to eat the cows, and they ate the cows, and they're trying to hide it from Odysseus, thinking like the god doesn't exist. Not all like, oh, Odysseus isn't talking to the god. He didn't tell him not to eat a cow or something.
Yeah, well, they're trying to hide it from him, right?
From him.
So like,
where's the loyalty, mate?
Well, the thing is, I felt like they were there for weeks. You know what I mean? And they were doing their absolute best not to eat the cow. There's one point there where they literally way, you know what I mean? So I think that they really were trying, but it got to the point where it's like, it's either we're going to die here or we might die eating these cows. So
let's eat some burgers. Yeah, as soon as they eat the burgers, the wind stopped, and the perfect winds, ladies and gentlemen. And then
those superstition omens, like it must be true.
Yeah, so that was a cool little scene again. I had a lot of fun with that one. And I think from there was hell or something. But anyway, from hell, it goes... No.
All the soldiers were dead by...
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. From that point, Odysseus is stranded on the island with Calypso, Charlize Theron. She was fine. Honestly, I wish she played Athena. I'm going to say that right now. I reckon it would have been better if the roles were swapped. If Calypso was played by Zendaya and Charlize Theron was Athena. And quick note, Athena is kind of played off as this kind of imagination in Odysseus' mind. She pops up every now and then and only Odysseus can see her. And she's kind of this like voice of caution or this voice of reason or the voice of a reminder. To which is all plagued on Odysseus because it was actually a little plot twist here. Not really a plot twist. Zendaya was a victim of Troy. It was pretty much a innocent person that was beheaded during the fall of Troy. And I think they kind of suggest that it was actually Odysseus himself that decapitated this woman who was pretty much begging on her knees, restrained by soldiers to spare her life. But given the heat of that moment and, you know, what is when a man becomes corrupted by war and all that, Odysseus kills an innocent person. So that person becomes the reimagining guilt that plagues on his mind. Again, I think that could have been better off if it was Charlize Theron. I'm not saying Zendaya did a bad job. She didn't do a good job either because she's always got this very judgmental face.
Charlize
all
Theron?
the way through it. Zendaya. It's always this one little scolding glint. It's like, I'm going to tell you to go home, but I don't like you.
Yeah, the old Zendaya look, eh? The model face. I feel like
Charlize Theron comes on much more playful and much more with like an infatuation. which is the character of Calypso. She is actually in love with Odysseus. And it's kind of funny how if you rewind the clock back 20 years ago, literally 20 years ago, back to 2006, in Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3, Calypso was played by a black woman. But no one seems to give a crap about that. So, yeah, little off topic. Yes, so I think that sequence overall, Calypso, was unnecessary for Nolan's narrative because it serves as the point of where Matt Damon is telling his story prior to that.
Yeah.
You know, it's on this junction of him being imprisoned on this island of Calypso. Not in prison, but he's technically imprisoned by her. The flashbacks we get to serve where the story began to where it is now. And this whole thing about him not remembering his family and all this stuff. And Athena basically drugging him with the lotus leaf that's like keeping him alive. It's like, does she really love him? Or is it just like, I'm lonely, I need someone here, you're the best pick?
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And God told me that I'm not allowed to do it anymore, so I'm not allowed to do it anymore.
Yeah. Well, Calypso is pretty much the goddess of the storm, right? She's a deity herself. But again, is that really a goddess, or is this Odysseus again embellishing the truth?
Yeah.
Was it just some random fish woman, you know, that like saved his life ashore and all that stuff? At the end, that question's not answered, so it's up to interpretation. Yeah, so from there, he finally realizes because she feels bad for him and I guess loves him because she eventually gets to tell the truth.
Yeah, she loves him because she realizes that his heart wasn't there. He was like picking up planks of wood, like a homeless person.
Yeah,
it's like oh yeah, he's obviously like, yeah, he wants his old life back, or he's starting to realize that what he really wants.
I love him, but he loves someone else. So she did the right thing, finally owned up to what she was doing to him, and so he finally remembers his family and Penelope, and that little piece of plank wood becomes a raft, and he tries to get back home, and then it turns into Castaway for a little while there.
For half a second, he pretty much that was like a time jump where he just appears at the shores of his castle. But that was kind of Zeus. That was kind of Zeus saying, "Hey, let's get him back to shore," or something like that. I heard.
I guess. So that's absolutely right. At this point, I mean, probably a few scenes prior where I started losing the flow of the film, started getting lost on me. Like, there was a good pace for the first half, and then the second half, it was like, we need to wrap this up. We need to get it under 3 hours. And so there's huge time jumps and like segments that are like briefly washed over. And again, I feel like this film could have benefited from it being an Odyssey Part 1 and Odyssey Part 2.
Ooh,
you know, all the stuff with the sun. Yeah.
I'll make
all the stuff with the sun. 3-parter, yeah, could do that. I just feel like all the stuff that he could have done with Ithaca and his son could have been, in the scheme to get back and all that stuff to his wife, could have been held off for Part 2 or something. So finally, Odysseus gets back to Ithaca, and the first thing he does is, no, I need to wait. I need to find out what's going on. And has to segue to save his son. Like, these big jumps of time travel.
That was confusing for me. The son's at Calypso at his house. All of a sudden, he's away from his house. And then his mercenaries die, and then he goes back home real quick. I feel like
because his son, Telemachus, he went to find rumors of his father, right? So I believe he sailed to Sparta. So yeah, Odysseus gets to Ithaca. He quickly finds from the right person, John Leguizamo's character, that actually your son is back at Sparta. So the first thing Odysseus does is, well, I'm not ready to go home yet. Let's go to Sparta, save my son. Just like, okay, these time jumps are killing me.
Yeah, okay.
No, it's not fair enough. Like. That's the one thing I will say about a lot of Nolan films is there's never a moment to breathe. There's never a moment to let a scene just emotionally drive the moment. Everything has to get explained through either exposition or just moving on to the next sequence, or even monologuing over another sequence. This is going all the way back to his Batman trilogy, and it's honestly, for me, the weakest points of Nolan is just letting a scene just build without dialogue. He needs to explain everything, even in this. And when we finally get the reunion between Odysseus and his son, this is where I agree with you. Tom Holland could have done a lot better, because there's no real emotional string there, man. There's no real moment of Telemachus realizing he's standing in front of his father, who he's been waiting to return for like 20 years, right? Like, the last time you saw him, he was an infant. So it's just like, okay, you're my father. We need a scheme to trick her mother, to see if she's truly loyal to you. Fucking, this is where the narrative should have really changed for me. Like, Telemachus should have said right there and then, like, my mother, your wife, has been waiting on you for a whole freaking decade so you can go and fight someone else's war. Like, she's been loyal. You don't need to prove, she doesn't need to prove anything to you. You know what I mean? But still, we go through the Odyssey beats, and Odysseus has to see firsthand for himself and disguise himself as another person to see how truly loyal Penelope is to him, which to me is like, get stuffed.
Okay, I didn't see it that way. Like, I saw it in the way that he feels bad and he doesn't know if he deserves his wife back after how long he's been away for. That's the way I kind of saw it.
That's a fair point.
And then
that's a fair point.
He was kind of shameful. He didn't want to show his face. But anyway, there was a really cool scene, that scene where he walks up the stairs, he sees his dog holds on to dear life to see his master. Dude, I almost shed a tear. I didn't want to look at you. I knew you were probably shedding 9 tears there, right?
The second they showed that pup, I mean, they kind of showed in the trailer too, so I wasn't really surprised. But yeah, you knew that dog was going to have a bad ending at the end of it. And
I was happy. I was kind of happy though. The dog saw his master, and then he could finally rest in peace. So I thought that was a really somber moment there. And then Tom Holland's face. Sorry, keep going. I'm going.
You go. I keep interrupting.
And then when Tom Holland sees that and he realizes he's the Odysseus, I kind of like Tom had his face was like, holy crap. I like that. I like that one part of him.
I agree, but for me, that shot is ruined when he's like, "You're Odysseus."
Oh,
I didn't need that.
I didn't.
Just keep it on his face. Keep it on his face. You can see it in his eyes. He's just realized he's put 2 and 2 together. This is his father.
Keep that cool moment.
Have him like,
yeah.
Just have him inhale. Have it like the story told in his eyes. You know, just remove dialogue from 1 fucking second of your film, please.
I know.
Please. But yeah, I do agree that was probably the best part for Tom Holland, right up to when he goes, "You're Odysseus."
Yeah, right before that,
the audience is going, "No shit."
Yeah, I forgot that. I forgot that he said, "Oh, you're Odysseus." That part I didn't think about. But yeah, that look that he had on his face when, they could have extended that in the sense, they could have made that known.
Just have a moment where like, sorry, I keep interrupting you, man. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Imagine if like he went to hug his father, to embrace him, but his father's like, "Oh, no, we need to play this role still, we still need to play this role." Just do something like that. You know what I mean?
Yes,
try and encourage. But instead we get like the monologue.
Like, don't look like, I don't want everyone looking at us knowing that we're father and son. Like, keep playing the role. Yeah, that would have been sick.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, because that was like the biggest. That's what we've been waiting for the whole movie is, will he reunite with his family, and will that moment be impactful? And I was, for the most part, impacted. I was like, hell yeah.
Finally.
Yeah,
man. That's the epic. Yeah, I mean, finally, as he's finally been reunited.
Oh, yeah.
Him and Penelope's reunion was much more impacting, but I do agree it was a good little solemn moment. But yeah, again, just ruined by dialogue, too much dialogue. It's just show a little bit more emotion.
And then that scene with him and Penelope was amazing, where he was, acting like one of his crewmates or one of his old soldiers. Did Penelope... Yeah, did Penelope know that it was Odysseus after that talk?
I think by the end of it, she suspected, definitely. But, she was wise enough to realize he's hatching some kind of grand scheme here. Let's just go along with it and see how it plays out. That's kind of just I get.
I don't want to her have known. I wanted her to have known that once he strung the bow, dude, that was so freaking badass. Where she's like, all right, let's get this whole thing where, all right, screw it. My husband's not coming back. I need to make a choice. I'm going to marry the next wolf that can bloody restring my husband's bow. And nobody can do it. Everyone's freaking half a turtle schmack's ass. And then here comes this old guy with a freaking Assassin's Creed cloak on. Most badass. Assassin's Creed, they need to make an Assassin's Creed that has that vibe. That's like the vibe I want from Assassin's Creed. And he comes in, he kind of tries to do it, but it's hard. And everyone's like, ho, 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 ho. But then he's like, no. Then he does this cool freaking maneuver where you just like twist the bow back and shrink, and it goes fong, and then Penelope looks around and she knows. Dude, that was so.
I prefer that version. Yeah,
and that's where I want her to know that was Odysseus is in that moment, and then she gets the sigh of relief. That was freaking badass. So that's why I was happy with the whole. I thought it was a wholly impactful moment. Because of like his return, and then you see freaking what's his bloody name? Robert Pattinson's face goes full bitch mode, and he's just
goes all Scar mode from Lion King. His old crap, King has returned.
One moment before actually, So when Odysseus in the cloak, he has that moment with Robert Pattinson again in the dining table, where that was a pretty cool moment too. Where it's like, oh, who is this? He gives him the thing. See, what's the significance of that again? Because I remember he was a kid. Okay, what was that exchange about when he was a kid? Where he's like, no, let the other kid go or something. What was that about? I didn't really understand.
So when they were basically recruiting for, the war to Troy, there was volunteers and conscription, I believe, and lottery. So it was just by chance of like pulling out the right token to see if you'd be joining the army or not. And how did the beat go?
He got the stick.
So this is what
which means he was supposed to get, but he was like, his dad said, no, please don't put my son into war. Give it to this other kid or something. Or was it the opposite?
Yeah, father sympathy. I believe that's how it went. And then Sinan, who was the kid, volunteered and indirectly saved Robert Pattinson's character, Antinous, from going away. I believe that's how it played out.
It makes sense. It makes him look like a bitch ass, which he kind of was.
And he accepts it. And fucking Sinan's character is a shrimp compared to Antinous, and Antinous is pretty much a nearly full-grown man at that point, a young teenager at least. I believe that's how it played out, and I couldn't tell you if that's how it plays out in the anthology of Homer's work. Right. It may be a little different considering Sinan was a brand new character for Nolan's adaptation.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's how it plays out from what I remember.
That was a badass scene, and then he's like, oh, who are you? Some like little pleb. Then he's like, oh, I forgot the exchange there. But then he gives him a little thing. He gives him that thing, and he's like, and then he just goes all like, he just crashes out. He's like, ugh, and pushes him. It's like, are you some? Oh, that was so cool. Where he's like, are you some god? Because it's like kind of law that you don't hit another person, like even if they're a beggar, because a stranger, because they could be a god. So I like that, and I like how they tied it to Robert Antinius going, "What are you, some god? Why can't I like push you around like a bully?" That was such a cool little scene. He got his ego completely destroyed there, and he stormed out.
So from here, after the stringing of the bow, it is unveiled that is Odysseus, and there's a room full of suitors and nobles and all that. Half of them freak out and either try to run away or immediately kneel to return the king. And then there's the other half that try to kill him because they're somewhat loyal to Antinous. I love and I don't love the fight. generally because of how it is filmed. I do love the whole transition of he takes out a few of them, then we cut to like a few of them more kneeling down. It's like this process of like their belief. You know, seeing Odysseus's wrath take hold of this room. I was laughing in the non-spoiler area, Robert Pattinson's character during this sequence.
Yeah.
Because he's got his little worm by his minion upstairs throwing down weapons in this hole. And every time like he manages to get a shield down, he goes, "Get the shield!" Throws a spear down. "Get the spear!" Throws a sword down. "Get the sword!" That to me was better. I don't know if it was meant to be comical, but to me it was. He's just calling out the weapon as it comes into the cage. It's like, get it. It's just like...
Yeah, I agree. I really like the fight scene. I feel like it could have been shot better or more epically. Yeah.
That's another cornerstone thing of Christopher Nolan, especially going back to the Dark Knight trilogy. We love the Dark Knight trilogy, but whenever like there was the kung fu involved with Batman, again, he shoots away from what's happening. He will show a quick glimpse of, Batman or Adonis swinging, and it would be a rough German cutaway to something else. It's like,
oh, God damn it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just because Nolan doesn't want it to look shitty or like, the disbelief of a punch or disbelief of a swing, so he just splices up his fighting sequences very roughly, and it did kill it a bit, but you get enough sense and understanding of what he's doing in terms of choreography to get away with it. And it's kept in PG. There's not much violence. You don't see much blood or, guts spilling or decapitations. But I think the fact that it's Odysseus returning home, it overshadows all that plight stuff.
Yes.
To see him literally take back his home, take back his house, his castle, his kingdom, and all that, in view of his wife Penelope and his son, who's obviously not as great a fighter. He's a bit of a shrimp. Let's be honest. Telemachus try his best to help his father out. I was waiting for him to get thrown around like a rag doll every second he got, but I'm glad he was able to stand up to the worm guy who's thrown down all the weapons and finally get the better of him.
Like really low-level tiered guy. He seemed like I'm surprised he even got ragdolled a little bit by him.
I recognize the actor though. I know he's been in a few things. I believe he was in that
Rafi Gavron? No.
Oh God, I've seen him. He was in that independent. I know the cast is huge, man. It's stacked. I'm looking at the cast right now, trying to find him. He's not even in them.
Wow, see that guy? I don't even remember seeing him in it, and he's a big guy. Like
Melanthius. Yeah, that's him. That's the guy. That's the worm. There he is.
Oh,
Logan Marshall Green.
Okay, well that was random.
That was him.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably know him best as the guy in Upgrade. The one where the microchip is embedded into him, and he's artificial intelligence takes over his body, and he's like really good at fighting and all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
that was him.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So he's been around the bush, and even Mia Goth. I mean, you're probably not too familiar with who Mia Goth is, but she made a name for herself doing this horror trilogy where she plays basically a female serial killer.
I wasn't a fan of that film. I watched the first one, and I wasn't a yeah.
Oh, fair enough. I fair enough. I like the sequels better.
Frankenstein. Yeah.
Frankenstein. Yes.
Yeah, she was in Frankenstein. Yeah, I do recognize her. I recognize her from Infinity Pool.
I haven't seen that one. There you go. But again, a very small role for someone who's arguably, in that A-list tier, at least, in the horror aspect. But anyways, finally Odysseus wins the day. He manages to do a John Wick and kill. I think he kills a few people, but mainly knocks them out to the point where they bend their knee to him. And finally gets his revenge on the pussy that is Antinous, and finish him off. And it's basically a segue to Happily Ever After.
Yeah. His armor looks badass as well. He was wearing old pieces of shredded armor from the Troy fight, and he looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
like
true.
I remember I paid attention. I'm like, wow, look at that armor. That looks sick. Yeah, so that was a, and
It's Matt Damon.
it's scary. You look at him, he's like, holy shit. He's wearing like Troy's Mega Chad gear that's been shredded and preserved. But yeah, then he lays in Penelope's arms, and you're like, is he gonna die? Is he gonna die?
Yeah, that was a bit of a cop out. Again, that's testament to the terrible pacing that the last half of this film had. It's like, oh no, he's dying. Oh wait, no, they're sailing away as they promised like a decade ago.
I mean, that was
then,
cool.
yeah,
I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I guess, but to me, it felt like a real Michael Bay ending after, like, there's no more CG robots to destroy a city. It's like, I'm Optimus Prime, and this is Transformers Part 6. See you in 7. Bye. Bing. Yeah, like, we just
classic
cut away.
Ever ending cutaway type thing.
But extremely rushed, man. It literally time jumps to, Odysseus has recovered from his wounds. Him and Penelope are sending Zale into exile as they promised each other. And they're leaving their son to rule Ithaca in Odysseus' stead.
There's all that we haven't thought of. Like
so much that was like, it was like just so jumped over, man. And that's where the got to get under 3 hour runtime is to be had. It was like, oof, okay, that's a very quick wrap up with a monologue, which is, again another cornerstone Nolan thing is to have a monologue ending your film. But yeah. Big jump, man. I didn't really like that ending. It was very jarring for me, man. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Okay, surely you could have found a better way to wrap this up.
Yeah, if this movie was like 4.5 hours, it probably would have been
We'd still be in the cinema.
But honestly, I'm surprised. It was $19 for a ticket. I remember when Endgame came out, we watched it. It was like $35. Yeah. All the tickets skyrocketed. So I'm surprised the tickets were cheap, considering it was a 3-hour film. And it was like constantly packed out. So I don't know. I was kind of surprised about that. Well, actually, everyone was clapping in the end of the movie. Remember that? It was kind of well, not everyone, but there was a few people clapping, and I was clapping my knees together.
Yeah, I was clapping the chair handle. How full you reckon the cinema was? Like half full?
No, packed. I remember when I had to pre-book. And there was no tickets. I mean, there was very limited spots. And then I checked on the day, and there was probably only like 20 seats remaining. So it was like 80% full.
Wow. Okay.
And this was like 2:15 p.m. And it got more busy on the later sessions. So this movie is definitely going to make probably like $1 billion. You could make just shy of $1 billion. You reckon? I reckon it could be one of those deals.
Depends on how people feel. Are they even going to bother looking for their own opinion on it, or will they actually pay the few dollars to see it? I reckon it'll definitely make $500 million. I mean,
if they just didn't have Ellen Page, they would have made an extra $1 billion or something, right?
It's a sad truth, man, and she's such a small impact on the film that it shouldn't really bother anyone too much. I get it that there's the whole issues with like Greek representation and all that stuff. I agree with it. They should definitely have more, ethnic appropriate choices for the roles. It says here on opening weekend it's grossed 120 mil already. I
mean that's twice as much as that's massive. Yeah, I know, like Superman was really good. It was notable, and that got like 60 million, so that like almost doubled it. So yeah, I reckon this film's gonna go just probably like 500 to 800 million. I think it's gonna make enough money, but is it gonna make like 2 billion? Nah, I don't know.
I don't think
probably not.
I don't think it has the draw card that James Cameron is, and even James Cameron's last Avatar film didn't bank as much as the predecessor. So, just going back about the Greek stuff. Look, I do agree that the cast choices should have been definitely more suited to the Greek kind of aspect of it. But at the same time, you can't always get exactly what you want in these things, and there's always going to be cast members that are chosen over. Because, like, let's be honest, it's a Nolan film. How many Greek actors are in that A-list kind of category? And I'm not asking that out of ignorance. I truly don't know. Maybe Matt Damon's Greek. I haven't looked at his origin. You know what I mean? And Nolan works with people that he's worked with before. Majority of this cast he's worked with before in previous films. And two, I would not be surprised if Nolan had full control over this outcome. Am I giving him? Is it justified in the casting choice? No. Does it diminish the film and like what the narrative is trying to tell?
Barely?
I don't think so.
No, barely. No.
Barely. No. I like if it was my way, I would have chosen different actors, but they all did their part. Some better than others, but there was no real weak point in this film. Everybody starts laughing their heads off when they see a snippet of Lupita Nyong screaming in rage in the trailer. It's like you got to know the context behind why she is that way. And when you do know the context, it's understandable why she's expressing that look.
Yeah.
It's like, I think sometimes the audience would be happy if everybody in that was Sydney Sweeney, just for their own pure, like, sycophant vanity. Like, just sometimes you just gotta let a thing be. Don't freaking question it. I'm not saying it should always be the case, but I don't feel anyone in this film did damage to the Homer Odyssey. All right.
Yeah. It did.
And again, you go.
No, it did damage to the internet culture thing. Like it lost money. All it did was lose money.
Mm.
That's pretty much all it did. It didn't ruin the movie or anything. It's just we want this film to do well, and they kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit, or not even that. Just blah blah. You can't hire some of these people. You can't hire. You can't hire Elliot Page to make like a Roman war movie. You can't like hire left wing bloody complainers that complain about how hard their life is and they're a minority group and all that bullcrap, because it's just going to piss everyone off and you're going to lose $1 billion. They're just money suckers. They having them in. But yeah, that was my
Who is they? Who exactly are we talking about with the they?
This bloody Lupita Nyong. She's annoying. She's like she is one of the top Karens of the movie industry. How many times she's complained like, oh, this is a story it's not about her taking care of her husband, it's her own story. Like that type of thing. She's said that sort of thing before. Where it's like, we can finally open up. And who's that woman that played Snow White? Like her. Like
Rachel Zegler.
They're like best friends in that world. If you look at Lupita Nyong's stuff online, she's so annoying.
Yeah.
And she probably lost money.
I totally get it. Sometimes I say stupid shit. I just feel like for the benefit of the film, you got to just go into the film and keep that side of them out of it and just critique it from a performance level.
100%. Yeah.
Separate the person from the performance, which I have to, and what we got out of them, again, was very brief. It's very subtle. It's very little. Thank God they're not in the forefront. And there's no sequence where, they're like throat lifting a guy that weighs 200 pounds and fighting off an army with one hand. None of that shit happens. So,
well, there was a scene where Helena, I think it was the first scene she was in. I think one of the top, I forgot who it was, kind of looked at her and said, "Oh, this is my woman," or something like that, and touched her face. And I'm like, wow, I'm surprised she allowed herself to be in such a position like that. Because in reality, she must have hated it, because she's the type of person that would be like, don't talk to us like that. Then all the women get up and punch him in the face or something like that. But no, that was a very demeaning scene for her.
Yeah. And she still performed it.
She still performed it. So that was good.
Probably because like you get to kill this guy in the end. Oh, great, sweet, yay!
That's right. You get to stab him in the heart.
Little stabby, Melanos. John Bernthal, I agree. In terms of like the big roles in this, Bernthal was probably not the lackluster, but the minimum, because like you said, he's just playing himself. And
war story guy. Yeah, I was Nam. Yeah, boy.
Yeah, well, that's Agamemnon's brother. He's a pretty key figure. But yeah, in terms of like what he did in the film, yeah, not much of an impact. Seemed like everyone had a moment for themselves except Melanaus because he was just there, you know, he was just a messenger, really. So probably the weakest point in terms of like the cast, only because they didn't really have him anything significant to do.
Oh my god, Will Yun Lee. He's like, oh, he was one of the crew members, I think.
Yeah, he's the one that swam to the sirens, I believe.
Yeah, that's it. Dude, the sirens part was one of my faves just because of the idea of it, of like ultimate heaven is on that rock, but as soon as you get there, you actually caught yourself in the ultimate hell. So that was so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the juxtaposition of like temptation, right?
And Matt Damon's acting there was just like, that's where like really good. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he was like seeing how stoic he is, and then see him on the ship, and he's just like crying out for like absolute
complete agony, man.
Agony of this is what he wants. Yeah, that was an insane scene. Who else? We got James Remar. I don't remember him in the film.
James Remar. Sorry, I'm looking at the cast list myself.
Yeah, I'm on Google. I'm just looking through the whole list.
I believe he played. Oh, jeez, I forgot the character's name, but the one that was like eyes were blindfolded on the island of Help.
Oh yeah.
I think that was him.
Huh?
Oh no, I'm wrong.
He was like kind of a fat guy that played like
Bill Owen. I can't remember, honestly. I recognize the actor. I just can't remember what role he played in this.
It's funny you can get like an A-list actor and like, yeah, he was one of the side characters. I barely know who it was. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. So I do have to apologize, you two. We only saw the film at the cinemas the one time, and there was a lot to remember.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I'm just going to have to cheat here and see what character he actually played visually, because I seriously cannot remember. The Blind Prophet, so I was right. He did play the Blind Prophet. Yeah.
Yeah,
cool. I could have sworn someone else.
This film, I'll watch it, like, I'm keen to watch it again. Usually with films, I'm a one and done, and then I'll watch it again in a few years when I'm kind of as a refresher. But this one, there was so much to it, so many different. It was like a journey. I would want to watch this again with like my parents, and I'm not usually that type of guy, but I am with this film. So that shows.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. I feel like a lot of Nolan films are like that. Like the first time you see it, you're like, meh. But then you watch it again, like a month or a year or whatever later, and like you see it in a different layer for a lot of his films. I got to do that for myself with Oppenheimer because I did not like Oppenheimer. I thought it was very long and droll and pretentious on my first viewing of it, and I need to force myself to try it again to see if I have a different opinion on it. But even going back to Batman Begins, like one of his very first big epics, the first time I saw that, I didn't care for it. Maybe I was still biased because I still enjoyed the Tim Burton ones as a kid and all that, but it eventually grew on me. And then I heard Dark Knight came out, and we all knew how big that was. Same with Inception. I did not care for Inception the first time. I thought it was confusing and unnecessarily convoluted. But then I watched it a second time, understanding the layering a bit better.
Oh yeah.
And then it started to make sense.
That's like the Matrix. You watch the Matrix the first time, and then it's like, wow, okay, that's cool. But then you can literally watch the Matrix 20 times, and you learn something new every time. Like
because on the stuff, just cool, it's kung fu and gun shooting. But then when you understand the subliminal nature that is the film, and the message is trying to tell, it's much more bigger.
And every character is a very important key part, and they have a really important role. But that's funny because I really did. I liked Oppenheimer a lot. Also liked Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I know it's a different director, but I like that. You weren't a fan of that?
Not really. I thought it was hilarious how it ended, but the whole thing being kind of like Inglourious Bastards, where it's based on true events, but then it's not kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it works for Inglourious Bastards, but I don't feel like it works for Once Upon a Time. There's some cool characters, like Brad Pitt's freaking character is awesome. And they're giving him his own spin-off show and all that, but the actual outcome of the film was not for me. One of Tarantino's least liked films by me. But we'll try and wrap this up, eh?
Yeah,
this is
let's
going to
wrap
be
it
more
up.
for sure.
Oh, it's only been an hour, so we usually do our reviews.
Yeah. Okay, well, still.
But yeah,
I don't
still.
think there's much more.
There's not much more.
I think one character we haven't really given much homage to was John Leguizamo's character.
The dog killer.
I thought he was... Well, yeah, he actually is a dog killer, because he did throw a bunch of pumps off a cliff.
Yeah.
And that really... it set the stage for the rest of the film, but because that was the beginning, I was like, oh, the rest is pretty PG compared to that sequence. I thought that was really setting up for something that was going to be really like hard to watch. Here's this character that's supposedly likable. He's like, puppy. Yeah, this one. Nah, toss it. It was like, Jesus Christ. Okay.
See, I liked the second half of the movie better than the first half. I thought the first half was a little.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. See, I might have to watch it again, and then I'll be the opposite. But from my memory, the first half was a bit. Because it was setting up the story, maybe because I wasn't really sure what the story was about. And then as the story set up, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is what's going on. I really started liking it. Like Tom Holland training with John Leguizamo. I thought that would lead to something. And it kind of led to that little cool part in the end where he kind of stabs the fella.
He uses that fight technique on him.
Yeah.
And that was because of John's teachings to him. Don't be the strongest, don't be the quickest, just be the smarter.
So
and he does.
It picked up once the Cyclops part for me. That's when it really picked up. That was like an hour in.
I was elbowing you. That scene, like, wait for it.
You reckon?
Wait for it.
I had no idea.
No, that was I knew because I'm familiar with the traditional old school film and pieces of Homer's work. So I was like, this scene's coming. This is this thing. Sorry, a little off topic. That's one thing. The visual look of it. I was thinking about that actually. That's probably a negative for me. Is the epic that is the Odyssey. Is Odysseus traveling pretty much across the globe to get back home. If I have to take away one thing from it, is every location that we go to, whether it's the Cyclops' island, the land of giants, even Circe's little remote island, every location felt like it was in the exact same vicinity.
Yeah,
like it was literally part of the same island.
Like the part of the same forests kind of thing.
Yeah, there was nothing really to differentiate. The only area that had any visually different thing was when they went to hell, and it was like on that volcanic looking area. It looked like Iceland. Everything else does look the exact same. It's got that kind of Nolan trademark grey washed kind of look of it.
Like Circe was like a bit of a forest. The cow place was like kind of more of a dry, washed up forest. The land of the giants was another forest, which is fair enough. It was all forest back then, but.
If you watch any one of his films, whether they're modern or like back in World War II, he's got that kind of grey hue over his visual palette. And for most of those films, it works because it's centralized in that kind of same environment. But this is meant to be a fantasy epic that like sailed across the globe, basically. So I thought maybe the visual palette could have been changed up a little bit just so we can recognize that he's in a completely different continent. He's like in a completely different atmosphere now. Hemisphere, sorry. That's definitely one big takeaway I can get from it is the visual look. Maybe a little bit more color, maybe a little bit, opposites in terms of saturation and all that. Could have done a little bit more just so we can get a better visual understanding of where we are in this world.
A lot of shots were kind of close in on the army or on Odysseus. We didn't get many shots that were a bit more wide where we can see the landscape and all that. We didn't really get to see the cool Lord of the Rings style freaking mountain sweeping shots and
that's definitely that's what I was getting at when I compared it to Lord of the Rings and Troy, because it didn't really feel like there's some really great set pieces, but in terms of like wide spectacle, like
Yeah.
Lawrence of Arabia and all that stuff, I didn't really get that vibe in this. Everything, like you said, was very tight in, very centralized, pretty much on Odysseus. You know, there's no big epic wide pannings a few times, but I know that grandesque
Yeah.
epic that comes from one of those old time golden era kind of films, which a lot of this was inspired by, it was kind of not there.
No.
Yeah.
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 The most we kind of got was the island of spirits, was it? And the whole tentacles. We got a little bit. That's like the most we got. We kind of saw it was through this cavernous area, and then it was cool rocks on their sides. But no, yeah, we barely got any like long shots. I don't know. Was that on purpose? Because Chris Nolo could have been like, "Look, let's just get some sick ass drone footage or something." They didn't bother. Let's get.
I don't think he uses drones. Like, I think he still uses helicopters for some of his, like, you know, establishing wides and all that stuff. Like when we first meet Odysseus, it's in that high top, but it's just him on a beach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when we visit the land of giants, or when we visit like Cersei's little place, like I don't know. I think I'm just kind of fixated, not fixated, but I was just leaning more towards the epic nature that is the Lord of the Rings. You know, when you watch Lord of the Rings, you know when you're in the Shire, you know when you're at Rivendell, you know when you're at the city of Gondor, Istirith, because there's a palette change. There's an overall look that separates them all. You know when you're in the Mines of Moria because of like the architectural design, or you know when you're in I'm brain farting. Rohan, you know, every culture and every location has its distinct look. This doesn't have that. So that would be a big
because it was such a big scale movie, but they didn't. But they kept it really tight. A lot of the shots really tight. They didn't like justify the expanse. Like even Calypso and Odysseus, it was always in that one little section of the beach on the edge, and the sand was white, and we didn't see anything else. It was just kind of stuck in that little area, which that could have been done on purpose. That was almost like a dream state, which kind of made sense.
I think it was kind of hinting at something like he was in like a limbo state, or like Davy Jones's locker or something along those lines.
That's fair enough. So
fair enough. But like, you know, when going from one place to another, it just all seemed like the same grey hue, and yeah, that did kind of take me out of it a bit, I'll have to admit.
You go to Cersei's, because
when you go,
and half the screen is coming from, you see the weeds, and then you see the house, and they go in the door, and then they leave the door, and you see Odysseus hunting an animal, but you don't see the sky. You just see him, the animal there. Like it's very all tight, very plain shots where they could have expanded more shots and used a bit more groundiousness. Yeah.
I would like that very much, but what we got. Am I overall disappointed in it? No, I'm not. I still enjoyed it. It's not perfect by any means. Is it faithful to the original stuff? Yes and no. More so yes than no. Is it going to be rewritten or redirected? Of course it is. Because is it going to be historically accurate? Of course not. It's a fantasy epic. Yes, it's set in Greece. Yes, it's set in a certain time period that's real. But if you're going to complain about authenticity in this, you have to complain about authenticity in Mel Gibson's Braveheart, or the authenticity in even Troy back in 2004. So it's a romanticized version of events. So yeah, I'm still happy with it. It's in my tier for Nolan films. It's in the above, the more than the below list. Probably in the top 10 if there is 10 films of Nolan's. I don't know, but you know what I mean. Top 5, all right? Fuck.
Yes, none of that stuff bothers me because I came into it knowing basically nothing. So for me, it was all up. I thought the movie was just going to be some Troy kind of people fight people. A very old schooly Nolan film, which Nolan hasn't really made an old school film. So it's kind of a new direction for Nolan, putting his whole, making a big grand movie based on the past. with the Troy battles and that. Cool. I thought that's what it was going to be. I had no idea about all this bloody gods and that. So for me, it was just like amazing. But when you're like, oh, I've read Homer stuff 50 times, and it's not that, it just takes away from the movie if you think that way.
Yeah.
It's like,
because if you do think that way, like, you have to compare it to how much was changed and redirected even in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You know, no one was complaining about that, and there's a lot of changes in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. So, you know, you can't have your cake and eat it too sometimes, guys. You just gotta let things happen. So this is a result of that.
yes.
There's things that could have been improved on, yes, but I'm not going to sit and cry about it. You know, it is what it is.
And I am glad, like, these are one of those movies that I'm glad they're making. They need to make more of these, like, long movies that there's no much CGI. It's all like you can tell they put the effort in. Massive, mega, like, kind of scale, cool, epic movies. Like, I want to see more of this. They need more of this. And it's gone back.
Bring back the epic.
Yeah, it's taking me back when I was like watching Lord of the Rings, or, you know, some of these really big movies in the past. It brought back a bit of that, and that's kind of what we're missing. And this is why we go to movies. We go to movies for this kind of experience. This is not an experience you can get watching at home. It's an experience you can only get from the movies. And a lot of movies these days that come out, you watch it at home or you watch it in the cinema, it makes barely any difference. But watching Odyssey in the cinema and a big screen with the sound and all that, that's what the cinemas are for. It's for that grand experience. And that is what this movie has. And it's cool. And they need to do more of that. And this movie is really good because of that. Thank you very much.
Print.
All right. And that's our episode for today. Any last words before I kill you?
Yeah, well, just reminding, a 7.5 for me.
Yeah, 8.5 for me. Maybe even a 9, honestly, it was up there.
For sure. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing what other people think about it, because I know it's going to be a mixed bag.
I really want to see other people's reviews on it. I hold my tongue because I don't want to get influenced by other people when doing this review. I want to come from my mouth. I mean, I will do some research on, because I knew none about the Homer stuff, but after watching this film, it just made me a lot more curious. Then I watched a 25-minute video on the Homer stuff, and it's like, wow, this is really freaking cool, man. This is like, and it's such one of the older stories, like you said, like even Tolkien took stuff out of it. So this is a story that needs to be told in a big screen, and Nolan pretty much did the job. I hope someone else does it in the future, in like 10 years or something. I hope it's retold again in a different vision, but keeping the same cool vibe. Like you said, the Northman, if the guy who made the Northman, I could definitely see that. Like, kind of, it's almost psychedelically spiritual. Like, and he makes that spiritual psychedelicness, and this movie would have been epic like that.
They're both complete opposites. I mean, they both go for the grand epic look of a thing, but where Nolan needs to explain everything happening at every given second in every scene, Eggers is the opposite. He visually goes subliminal. He'll tell you things that make little sense at the present, and he doesn't explain the narrative at all. So if someone really wants the true natured form of Homer's Odyssey, I think Eggers, or maybe even Denis Villeneuve, more so Eggers, would have been your perfect director.
Oh, dude, imagine that.
Not discrediting Nolan, but it would have been a different version of the Odyssey, probably a more faithful adaptation, and it would have been definitely visually awesome.
Yeah, he probably would have made you come out of it like a changed person. With this movie,
or scarred for life, one or the other.
Yeah.
It'd be like the siren treatment. Oh god,
it's too good. I want it so bad.
Robert Eggers.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Cool, man. Let's wrap it.
That was our epic review. I hope you all enjoyed our review. Please subscribe. Thank you very much. And we'll be back to you in another episode.
Yeah. Hopefully we see you at the cinemas.
I hope you don't stalk us.